when you went into you already had the knowledge yourself? You had knowledge?
No, I had knowledge of the black experience. Because I was a reader. I always was a reader.
Right.
Like
But you already had, your uncle had already sparked you a certain way. He didn't
spark me as far as with, like back then, it was like people read, people bought books. Like, I'm talking about dudes that didn't go to school. You'll come out, they be on the green garbage can, they either read newspapers, you go in their house, they got 5 black presidents, they got, like, so people read. It wasn't a premium or being dumb like it is now. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it was nothing like to see people read and see dudes that you mess with, but you go inside their house and they got books like on a black experience. So I was part of that type of crowd. Like, I read, like learning about self was interesting, but as far as getting familiar with the culture and understanding, I didn't do that to inside.
Okay.
Which is 2 different things. Because, to me, real knowledge of self is when you start introspecting your own ideas, your own values that brought you to a place where you feel like, yo, I shouldn't be in this type of place, in this type of position. Like, because it's like one of them rock bottom moments. And then you start introspecting, you start retrospecting. To me, that's knowledge of self. Now, I know plenty of people that claim to be a part of this culture, went the wayside, or even still in the culture, but they don't got knowledge of self. They got knowledge and familiar of degrees. They can memorize degrees, right, and that's a good thing, because it's a good drill. We should do drills, so it was a good drill. But understanding is when you start reflecting.
Right.
And you got to be still to reflect. You got to be quiet to reflect and analyze and really see, and then see, okay, yo, am I being the best person that I could be? And I think that as long as you breathe in air, you're going to be always trying to be the best person you can be until you decease, till you expire. And because things change in your life as you get older. You see more, you become parents, you become community stakeholders, and you got to start asking, am I being the best person that I could be? And you're going to make some choices that might not be the best choices along the way. That's going to be like, okay, yo, I got to fall back for a minute and, introspect a little harder. And that doesn't reflect poorly on any knowledge that you have.
Mm-hmm. Now, at what point did you start embracing the culture of the 5%?
I started, I think I was 20, because it was a younger brother I was in a jail with, and he was at the receiving center with me, and I'm like, yo, what's going on his wing? He was like, yo, we studying this and that, but I didn't know he couldn't read. So he gave me the supreme mathematics. I was like, all right, but he never really, so I was, I'm doing the knowledge, putting them on cap. Boom. That's all I had.
So when he gave them to you, you already knew to put them on cap. You already, it was already something to...
Yeah, because what we doing, I'm in the room 23 hours a day. And at the receiving center, like, I don't know how it is now, but basically they processing you like an animal. Like they figuring out where they gonna send you in prison. They do IQ tests on you. They do. They see where you at with the tapes. What level of your educational level? What level you function on? They take mad blood from you. Like you an animal. You being processed. Like like if you ever watch. Like I always used to watch PBS even when I was younger. So I just seen things. So I immediately they processing us.
Right.
And it's like it's really nothing to do. All you got is your at the time you can have Walkmans. So you in a cell. Like you in a cell until they decide do you got any enemies, do you got co-defendants, to where to put you at. Because they try not to put co-defendants on the same compound, and they try not to, especially if your co-defendant ratted on you, because that's already in your jacket. So they know. So but once you get in the system, y'all can probably bump heads. But first while you being processed, nah, they gonna make sure.
That y'all part.
Yeah. So so I did the knowledge to it. Then when I went to a spot called Nottoway when I was up there, but that's when it was like that was a prison. So when I went there, I was like, okay, I'm doing the knowledge. Because I always did the knowledge before I knew what doing the knowledge was.
Right.
Because, I'm always observing. I've been always
Was it that younger brother that put you on to what doing the knowledge is? And, or was it, or in terms of the term?
Yeah, in terms of I seen it in the math, but I've been knew, like, as far as when you come up in a certain area, you know how to be still, you know how to shut up. Like if dudes from Brooklyn from a certain area and you was around certain people, like, in their certain situations, hostile situations, you know how to do the knowledge. You know how to be still. Like ain't nobody just running. Like now people run their mouth, they talk too much. Like, dudes wasn't doing that. So that's like, so you was doing the knowledge before you even understood that this was even a mathematical concept. So getting the math, like, okay, I'm already doing this at no, look, listen, observe, and respect. I always respect. Like, I'm not the type of person, because my pops used to teach me, he said, yo, respect to take the black man through the world. So I never was a person to be like, you got to respect me for me to respect you. I'm going to respect you first, and then when you disrespect me, I'm going to carry you however I want to carry you. And that was my mentality. So, yeah. So then I think when I touched on, I touched what we call the big house, I saw was mad gods out there. But I wasn't feeling people, yo. I'm like, yo, I'm fresh in, I got this time. Like, I'm not trying to link with nobody. Yeah, so boom, and I met a good brother from Richmond. He was straight. I didn't even know he was that ill, but he was like one of them brothers that had like 8-9 bodies on the street. And me and him, we was in the pod together. We became cool, and so he was like, yo, I know you. I'm in the cell. I'm at the dust. What? So my mind was like, damn, these doors pop. I'm gonna have to get it on, because I'm like, he know me, like, and I'm thinking, so it gotta be from my case, because I ain't from down there. So then when the doors pop, I come out, he just bust out, start laughing. He said, nah, in his little slang. He said, nah. He said, this is when I knew he was crazy. He said, no, I collect people cases. Everybody that case, my case was on the news and all of that. I was kind of famous. And he was like, I collect everybody case that's famous, like famous cases. So I said, okay, I'm just meeting that. So he's crazy. And me and him just hit it off, like, you know what I mean? Me and hit it off. And then, like, all I did was, like, I would walk the track by myself, or people see me with him, I'll be on the weight pile. And then he was like, a brother want to meet you named Israel. All right, I'll meet him. You know what I mean? One of those things. And then he introduced me to Israel. He was from Pelon, but it was more like I still was standoffish. He was like, yo, who you be? I was like, what? Like, I didn't know the language. I'm like, all right, standoffish, like, like, fuck this cat want, like, type shit like that. And then he wound up getting moved into my building because he got into some wild stuff in his building where a knife, some old gladiator type stuff, a knife fight and whatever the case may be. So they separated and moved him in my building, and then me and him became cool. So, but we became cool based off, like, he went to Norfolk State. He used to do juxes before, you know what I mean? And he just was a cool human. And me and him were vibing, and then we talked. He said, yo, he said, so we was talking about the culture. Then one day he gave me a stack of 5% newspapers. Yeah, 5%, a stack. He gave me a stack. So I said, then we went on lock. So I'm on lockdown with these stack of papers, because I didn't, like, we had, like, before we got 13-inch TVs again, we had 5-inch TVs. Like, before I came in there, they had 13-inch TVs. They took the 13-inch TVs and we had to buy 5-inch TVs. So I came in with the 5-inch TVs. I'm like, sometimes you can watch the little 5-inch TV. So I would read a lot. So I'm reading. Then it was an article called "The Job Pretenders," And that article really sparked me because it was so many job pretenders. Like I didn't want to be associated, you know, with certain groups of people. Cause I saw like, yo, if I see that you weak, yo, or if I see that, you know, it's always gonna be some live people, but then it's gonna be like 15, 20, 30 weak motherfuckers around them. And I'm not entertaining that. Like, you see what I'm saying? So, and but when I read that article, basically it was saying that how can you tell the real from the unreal if the real don't, you know, stand up, basically. So and I said, yo, son, what's up? We gotta, like, yo, I'm ready to, like, fully immerse now in the culture. But I was 21 then, so I wound up doing my
From 21, so basically when you first got in there, you kind of just started
yeah,
into the culture.
but it was like 21 when it was like full throttle, like full throttle. I fasted, went through the desert. He's like, yo, son. He said, yo, son, you know, basically a lot of stuff already in the 120. You just don't realize it. I said, nah, we gonna, like, you know what I mean? We gonna go full throttle. So boom, but then he leave. So I think he had got me all the way up to the 1 through 14. So that's one thing about prison, that you can leave, you can be walking with somebody and they could be gone tomorrow.
Right.
So, and I'm wound up meeting somebody on a peer that came in. He had the 1 through 40. Me and him rock to this day still, but he not in our culture. He wound up going to the Moore Science Temple.
Okay.
And but me and him, we still rock to this day though. And I got the 1 through 40s for him and the rest. And you know, and I never looked back.
If Mecca did this.